Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Welcome back to Lira and Law, and thank you very much for joining me for our usual Thursday evening get together. Obviously, or every Thursday po, nandito ako from 7:30 onwards. Ang pangalan ko po, and I am your host, Lira Simon Kabatbat of Douglas Simon Solicitors. I am a qualified and practicing solicitor in the UK. Our office is in London, well, Greater London, at the end of the district line in the leafy and beautiful Richmond. So we're actually easily reachable, shall we say, for most places actually. 'Cause we're also served fortunately by trains, no? But anyway, so I digress. Ang pangalan ko Lira Simon Kabatbat, as I say, and I am your usual host. And thank you again for joining me. Now, gosh, we've been doing this. Someone was actually asking me today, how long, we've been broadcasting. We started during COVID time, diba? No, we started during COVID time, and we've just kind of continued. So we've been doing it a long time, and thank you very much for putting up with me, and I hope that you will enjoy tonight's show. Wow, and tonight, ang pag-uusapan po natin, look, it never ceases to amaze me, the great questions that you pose, no? And this is really why most of the time, ang topic po natin galing sa inyo. Simply because nothing can be more relevant, than your questions. So it's all very well me saying, choosing a question that's perhaps academically or indeed legally interesting, no? And of course, importante nga yun. But for a lot of our viewers, ang gusto nang malaman, okay, itong sitwasyon ko, meron bang solusyon? Ano bang pwede kong gawin? And of course, tonight, that's exactly what we're going to do. But I would just say nga, kung meron kayong problema, you have legal issues, kahit nga sabihin nyo, kahit kala nyo simple nga lang, you should really seek independent legal advice. Truly, nothing beats independent legal advice, no? That way, pwede nyo pakita yung mga dokumento nyo sa abogado, babasahin nga nila. You can also discuss things with them directly, because unfortunately, time and also, limited information necessarily stops us from being as thorough as we would want to be, with your questions. But as usual, I'm going to try and at least discuss it nga, look into it, and if I can, point you in the right direction, one would hope not. But truly, nothing beats independent legal advice. Truly. So kung meron kang problema, you should do that. Having said that, pag-uusapan po natin ngayon, wow. I mean, this is a topic actually that I should maybe deal with a bit more often, because it is a very relevant issue, especially nowadays when a lot of people maybe choose not to marry, or indeed they cannot marry, as like yung viewer nga natin. So ang topic po natin ngayon, unmarried partner route. It's a great topic because it's one that, as I say, applies to a lot of people increasingly more and more, because of the way perhaps society now is changing. As I've said, yung mga tao, maybe they choose not to marry, or sometimes they can't marry. Kung galing nga akin sa Pilipinas, we also have the legal issue that there's no divorce sa atin. So I suppose the unmarried partner route, if you're going to look at countries where it may be the most helpful, the Philippines may be actually may top the list. So, importante nga po ito, yung pag-usapan natin. And as usual, galing po yun sa inyo, a viewer very kindly took the time to message me nga and put this question. So she has some serious bragging rights in being the star question nga, but also I'm hoping to unpack it a bit more, and I hope that it's of some help, Pero hindi lang yung pag-uusapan natin, at saka ang dami nating ang topic nga ngayon, issues na pag-uusapan natin. So others would be points-based system, skilled worker dependence, traveling to Scotland, that's a new one, okay? But we're going to be discussing that, and also at what point are you at what point are you actually British? No, if you're making an application for naturalization, I mean, importante yun if you're looking to travel. No, pag-usapan din natin yun. So lots and lots of issues nga, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I enjoy discussing it. Now, saying that, I hope also that you're inside. Napakainit nga ngayon. I mean, I shouldn't really moan because, of course, we have also viewers nga from the Middle East. We have also viewers from the Philippines, where it's far hotter. But I must admit, the UK at the moment, so I'm broadcasting live from Richmond, Greater London. So the temperature at one point was something like 34. 34 is unheard of. Dati, 24 was already warm, was already hot. 27 was actually quite hot. Ngayon, 34. And that's been the kind of temperature nga over the last, at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, no? So it's been really, really warm. So hopefully naririnig niyo ako maigi and you're not hearing the kind of buzzing noise. The buzzing noise is for my, not one, not two, but 3 fans going at the same time. So if you see my hair nga, no, lumilipad, that's not a kind of effects, no. It's actually, it's the fan on my left, and of course I have a fan on my right, and I also have a fan in front of me, and of course meron din ako my pipe. So I have come prepared, but saying that nga, it is quite warm. So so I hope, and the upside is you don't need to get up to make a cup of tea, no. So I hope you have everything in front of you, and that you'll be able to join me nga throughout. No, because we're not actually, usually meron tayong mga commercial break. Not tonight though. We're gonna skip that simply because I want to spend as much time as I can nga on the star question, but also on the other questions. Also, please, kung you've tuned in, say hello. Alam ko meron tayong mga mayroon tayong mga kaibigan who very kindly most of the time tune in, no? And much appreciated. So kung nanonood kayo, say hello, no? And so of course meron din tayong batian nga mamaya, no? Now, so I'm not going to go on for much longer about other things simply because we do need to use up the time to discuss these great questions. So babasahin ko nga yung viewer topic, no? So sabi nito, need advice regarding my situation. Sabi niya, I've been with my British partner for 6 years. He's divorced, but I'm still legally married in the Philippines. Not unusual, ha? Although separated from my husband for 12 years. Again, not unusual. That people have separated for a while. And we have 1 child. So she has a child with a British, I'm assuming you mean, and we have 1 child. I think you may mean your British partner, but it doesn't really matter to some extent if it's with the husband, no? We want to live together in the UK, but I can't apply for fiancé visa because I'm still legally married and annulment is currently impossible, or if currently not possible. Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. Is there another legal route for me to join my British partner in the UK, or do I need to legally end my existing marriage first? Great question. And as I say, I should really have dealt with this topic a bit more frequently because it is a very common scenario. So the answer is yes, there is. No, yes, you can. I would say. Okay, yun pag-uusapan po natin. So just to summarize, the facts are. Nasa Pilipinas siya, I'm assuming. Yeah, nasa Pilipinas siya, no? She's been with her British partner for 6 years, okay? Divorced na yung partner nga niya, but she is still legally married in the Philippines. Probably because there's no divorce sa atin. She's been separated from her husband in the Philippines for 12 years. And they have 1 child. I'm assuming that this child is the child with the British partner, but I'm happy. I will actually deal with both the scenario where child is with child of the British partner, or child of the husband nga. So that again complicates matters, no? Pag-usapan din nga natin. We want to live in the UK, so gusto nilang magsama nga dito, which is fair enough, no? It's probably difficult to have a long distance relationship for that length of time, especially kung may mga bata nga, no? So yes, no, I can see that you want to live in one country together, and in this case, they've chosen the UK. Ang problema nga lang, kasal pa rin siya sa atin. Siguro sinubukan na niya yung annulment, pero hindi man nangyari, which is again not unusual po. For those of you who've had a go at the process of annulment in the Philippines, you will see that it's quite strict, no? And oftentimes gusto nang makita this psychological issue that must have existed when you're married, making you incapable really of consenting essentially to the marriage nga. And there may be situations where that has happened, but the vast majority, I would even hasten to guess, over 99%, is people just have just fallen out of love, to put it in colloquially. Sometimes that just happens. No, they no longer wish to be together. It doesn't have to be blamed on anyone particularly, but walang annulment nga sa atin. Well, may annulment sa atin, but it's difficult to comply with all the requirements. But walang divorce sa atin. No? And I know that I think last year nga there was a bill to do with divorce, but I don't actually know what's happened to that now. I'll look into that, in fact, and I'll report next week. But at the moment, walang divorce sa atin. So she wants to come into the UK. Ano bang pwede niyang gawin? Anong pwede nilang gawin in order to be a family in the United Kingdom? No? So the quick answer, as I've said nga, is yes, you can make an application nga. Anong klaseng application pasok nyo? It is the unmarried partner route, yung topic nga natin ngayon. Now, as usual, I always say this. Always go to the source. By that, I mean the law. Yun ang unang-unang titignan. Kailangan yung tignan whenever you're dealing with these types of questions nga. So, what is it, the unmarried partner route, and where can you also see it in the way of the law? So, now, in order to apply to come into the United Kingdom, you need to be able to show that you are you qualify as a partner. Right? A partner, if you want to look at where it's defined for immigration purposes, is contained in the immigration rules, ang tawag nga GN 1.2. So what does it say? No, a partner is someone who is a spouse. So kung kasal nga kayo, your spouse. A civil partner, no, if you entered into a civil partnership nga, okay. An unmarried partner, and this is the bit that I'm going to be discussing now. Unmarried partner, where the couple have been in a relationship similar to a marriage or a civil partnership for at least 2 years. No? Now, interesting background to that is this. Before January 2024, so actually not that long ago, 2 years ago, no? Before January 2024, the definition of a partner for the purposes of an application under this route, under the unmarried partner route, required before January 2024 that the parties were living together. In that case, of course, this would not have helped. That nasa Pilipinas nga siya, okay, there's 6 years na nga, pero yung partner niya nandito. But fortunately, and very sensibly, that definition was changed in January 2024. Nangyari, inalis nila yung cohabitation requirement. No? So you no longer need to be able to show that you're actually living together. It doesn't mean, though, that 2 years kayo and that's it. Yeah, you need to be able to show that your relationship is like a marriage. Now, kung nagsasama kayo, then that's much easier to show that you're in a relationship like a marriage. Pero kung hindi ka nagsasama, it doesn't mean that the change means rather that you can still make an application and succeed with this application nga, even though you're not living together, as long as you can show that you satisfy the condition of you're in a relationship like a marriage, a minimum of 2 years. Okay. Now, of course, kung kasal kayo, then the 2 years falls away. Kung kasal kayo, you could be married 2 months. You can make an application. You don't necessarily need to show any kind of cohabitation or any lengthy relationship beyond 2 years. That's the upside of a spouse application. Now, so let's look at the unmarried partner route now. As I say, it's defined by this under immigration rules GN 1.2. If you want to really look at the law itself to do with family applications, including ito, then that would be under Appendix FM for family. No, again by the immigration rules. All you have to do is Google it, and it will come up. No, have a look at the one as a starting point. Again, have a look at the Home Office website. No, always go to the source. Then you can read around it, but just be careful. Sometimes things are said and they're not actually correct. So always go to the source, the Home Office website. So if you're making an application as an unmarried partner, ano ba mga conditions? So as usual, if you're making an application, what do you need to show the Home Office? What are the requirements that you need to satisfy in order to succeed with this application? Now, the conditions are very, very similar, bar one thing, to that of a spouse or indeed fiance. So let me run it through with you nga. So, unang-una nga, you need to be able to show, as I've said, that you're in a relationship like a marriage for minimum of 2 years. Now, of course, if you're married, as I've said, you don't need the 2 years. So that's really the main difference between a spouse application, which has a marriage, and the unmarried partner route. Now, you need to show, as with spouses nga, income. The income requirement went up nearly 3 years ago now. I think it's December 2023 when the new minimum income requirement for spouses went up. It is now £29,000 per annum before tax. No, so that's quite important. That I've had clients say, "Oh gosh, £29,000, hindi yun ang sweldo ko, no, buwan-buwan." And then I realized actually they're calculating it on their net income. No, it's before tax, the £29,000. So the income must your sponsor, no, yung nandito nga, yung partner mo, his income must not be less than £29,000. Now, kung meron kang trabaho, and maybe, may trabaho ka sa atin and you can transfer here, maybe you can take that also into account because you obviously are also earning. But let's say, as with most applications that I deal with, it's we're only going to be relying on the sponsors' income, then that has to be £29,000. If it doesn't hit £29,000, then it's possible in some cases to combine it with his savings, no? But the savings need to be quite a bit. I think, and I can't exactly remember now the amount nga, but it's I think kung wala kang income, no, wala siyang income, wala, not even a penny, then the savings requirement he needs to be able to show, or the capital he needs to show, the savings will need to be, I think it's 88,500, so over £80,000. So it's that high, no? But that is if he has no income at all. So kung ang income nga niya ay 25,000 and he has some savings over £16,000 nga, then it's possible that you can combine the two. That you're saying, we can support ourselves in the UK without recourse to public funds because we have this income, plus we have the savings, okay? But nevertheless, it's important that you satisfy the income requirement, much like spouses. Now, for those of you that watch regularly, as I always say, the financial requirement has, if you like, is two-pronged, no? And one is income, absolutely, £29,000, but don't ever forget accommodation po. It doesn't have to be a property that you own, no, or he owns nga in the UK. It doesn't even have to be a property that's 3 bedrooms when there are only 2 of you, maybe even 2 of you kung dadaling mo yung bata, no? It just needs to be enough reasonable, it's reasonable to accommodate you, so not overcrowded nga. It could be, kung dalawa nga lang kayo, then maybe even a studio, no? You can also live with them if his parents are here o kaya mga kaibigan niya and they want to provide accommodation, you can even do that, okay? So it doesn't have to be anything grand, no? For example, nga accommodation, but it must be reasonable to accommodate you both. Okay, and you will need to prove that also. If he's renting, then tenancy agreement would be good. The tenancy will probably be in his name only. In which case, kailangan yung sulat galing sa maybe agent nga or dun sa landlord to say, no, pwede kang tumira doon, no? So you need also to confirm that. Sometimes I also go as far as getting a property checked, by an agent. I get a kind of accommodation report, which they will say, yes, this property has 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms, and the spouse is or the partner is allowed to live here and suitable for 2 people, for example. Sometimes I do that. I don't always, depends very much on whether or not they've had issues, for example, previous applications that have been refused, and maybe the issue of income or accommodation was a problem now. So I don't always get a report, but what I always do is I always evidence that the existence of the property. So tenancy agreement, as I say. Pero kung sa inyo, if he's the homeowner, then you can get land registry search that will show or should show that he actually owns the property. It doesn't matter if there's a mortgage. No, don't need to worry about that. It doesn't have to be mortgage free, but there must be suitable accommodation. Now, on top of that, as with spouses, kailangan mo din pakita that you have a good enough grasp of English. No, the level at the moment is A1. Okay, so you need to take that test. It's actually not too difficult, mainly. Okay? The more difficult one, later on when you make an application for indefinite leave to remain, is what's called B1. It could be that the B1 changes to B2. That's even more difficult. But anyway, I won't bother you with that at the moment. Kailangan mo din galing ka sa Pilipinas, tuberculosis certificate. So basically, a negative test. Now, not all clinics are allowed to provide it. I can never remember how many there are in Manila. No, not so many actually. No, TB that provide TB tests. So it has to be one that is approved by the Home Office. Again, if you're not sure, you can Google it, and have a look at the Home Office website. It will say there the ones that are authorized, to provide TB certificates. Failing which, because your star question, you can just email me and I'll send you the link. Okay. Now, evidence of relationship. One of the requirements, but probably the most difficult requirement. Yeah. So I've saved the last but not least, condition nga. Kailangan yung pakita, as I've said, 2 years relationship like a marriage. What does that mean? The starting point really is give it the usual meaning. Oftentimes the courts say that. So as spouses, kasal kayo, or indeed you're living in the UK, what do you normally do? You share resources, so normally with people you pay bills, or you have an account together, and from that account goes bills. Or kung sinusuportahan ka nga niya, then you may have remittance slips, showing that every week or every month nagpapadala siya, for example, for you, if you're using that money to pay the rent, sa Pilipinas nga, again, say so. What I normally do with these types of applications is I truly, the phrase is go to town with evidence to show that the relationship is has been is genuine nga and has been ongoing for minimum of 2 years. The reason being, with these types of applications, nandun ka sa atin, nasa Pilipinas ka, nandito siya. So the Home Office will likely be concerned at the outset about the whether or not so much the genuineness of your relationship, but whether or not your relationship is one that has been like a marriage, a minimum of 2 years. So what I normally do is I get as much documents as I possibly can. So it would be things like, as I say, sino ba nagbabayad ng rent sa atin? No? Meron ba kayong bahay sa atin? No? When you go on holiday, where do you stay? No? If your child is your child nga together, nagpapadala ba siya ng matrikula para sa bata? No? So do you have also, of course, texts, WhatsApp? No? Do you telephone each other? So anything really and everything to show that, yes, the relationship is one not just close, but actually like a marriage. No? Normally, well, not normally, but perhaps normally, when you are married now to someone and it is an ongoing relationship, you would holiday together, as I've said, o kaya you share resources together, you make contact now with each other more than once a day usually nga. So things like that. Now, how do you put it together? Ito. So absolutely you get as many documents as you can, minimum nga 2 years. But on top of that, para sa mga kliyente ko, I prepare a statement. By that, I don't mean bank statement. I mean, parang affidavit. So the statement will say, of course, pangalan mo, saan ka nakatira, and then you're making this statement in support of your application nga, for leave to enter, for a visa, no, entry clearance visa, to join your partner in the United Kingdom. Lagay mo din pangalan niya, birthday niya, saan siya nakatira, no? And normally I would then say there, okay, it's of course, importante nga that you say, you've decided, you've been together now for 6 years, you've decided actually you want to make the UK your home, and hence the application nga. But I would dissuade you from being too melodramatic. No, I've seen statements say, "Oh, and I love him so much," or "I cannot live without him." That all may well be. No, I mean, but by far, I'm not against romance, but that's not what they want to see. No, that's why I was looking at the conditions. No, so if you look at Appendix FM, therein listed are the conditions. So hit those conditions. No, it may read a bit weird, yung statement, but make sure that you deal with it. So, for example, I would say, I'm aware that under the unmarried partner route, there are a number of conditions that we need to satisfy, and they are, and I had them, no? So you can say income, we satisfy because, accommodation, we satisfy because, no? It can also be a statement from him, no? And it can even be a joint statement, although I prefer to have individual statements, because not least because of the signature bit, it's easier nga. You can also put it in your legal representations, but kung ikaw gumagawa nga mismo, it's probably easier to just put in your statement. So it's, and also you're the applicant nga. So normally you would say, okay, income niya ito, £29,000. It is satisfied how? No, accommodation ito. So list it, have subheadings, and then spend time on the most difficult of the conditions usually, or my clients find it the most difficult, is the 2 years relationship like a marriage. No? So there I would normally have a paragraph on its own to say, I'm aware that it's required that we're able to show that we've been in a relationship like a marriage for 2 years. As evidence of this, I note the following, and just put it in again. If you want to number them, fine. If you want to put bullet points, that's fine. And also attach documents nga, no? So if you're saying my partner has been paying for the rent, for example, or we own jointly the property in the Philippines where you're living, for example, put that down. And as evidence of this, it's that, no? So be clear, No? And kung ano man sinasabi nyo, if you can, back it up with evidence. Most applications under this route, if they are refused, they're normally refused on this basis. Failure to provide sufficient evidence that they have indeed been in the United Kingdom, been in the UK, so that they've been in a relationship, I should say, for minimum of 2 years, like a marriage, in the past, it was called akin to marriage. So is the relationship ongoing like a marriage, a minimum of 2 years? That is normally where a lot of refusals have been made. Now, if you can satisfy all of those, so tinignan nyo na, no? So I'm saying to you, that's the root, tinignan nyo ng batas, the conditions you think you satisfy. What then do you need to look at? Fees, okay? Because hindi nga lang basta-basta yun. So let me just tell you about the fees. If you're making an application in the United Kingdom under this route, because that can happen, where say you're varying your leave to remain from, as a worker or as a student nga, and you want to vary it to that of an unmarried partner route. In the United Kingdom, the usual charge, the home office fee, is £1,407. Home office lang yun, There's a second fee, okay? But it's the immigration health surcharge. And that is calculated at £1,035 per year. And you're asking under this route for 2.5 years in the UK. And so that would amount to £2,587.50p, okay? So in total, it's nearly £4,000. So I calculate it to be £3,994.50. So just a few pounds short of £4,000. Now, so it's not a cheap application, but it's if you can get it, it's a good one. I'll tell you the consequences of getting it shortly. Now, if you're outside the UK, as our viewer is, the home office fee is a bit more. It's £2,064, and there's an IHS surcharge. They calculate it over 33 months. The 3 months being the time that they allow you to enter the United Kingdom. But anyway, they charge you for 33 months IHS, and that amounts to £3,015 by my calculation. So sa viewer nga natin, ang kailangan mo is £5,079. So that consists of the IHS fee, the immigration health surcharge, and the immigration fee. As most of you will know, IHS or immigration health surcharge is essentially the contribution the applicant is making towards the NHS. So truly quite reasonable, actually. Now, what happens now? You satisfy the conditions, you think you have the money already, and you make the application and you get it. All right? Then, ano makuha nyo? Na ang visa bibigay sa inyo 2.5 years. O kung galing ka sa Pilipinas, 33 months. So 2 years, 8 months. And for that time, pagka nandito na kayo, anong ibig sabihin nun? You can work in the UK as an unmarried partner under the unmarried partner route. You can study in the UK. You can combine the two. Hindi nyo kailangan panibagong visa pabalik nga dito. You should not be out of the country for too long, simply because they may be concerned about the genuineness of your relationship if you're out of the country for far too long. You also can establish a business if you want. So all sorts of things you can do, right? But you cannot. They won't allow you to get money from the government. So you should not be reliant on public funds. So no universal credit, housing benefit, get on. But what you will get, as I say, is 2.5 years. It allows you to work here and travel in and out, build your life essentially with your partner in the United Kingdom. Now, before the 2.5 years is finished, or in your case, 33 months, you need to apply to extend the visa. The guidance say you should apply no earlier than 28 days prior to the expiration of your leave to remain. In some cases, I applied just a little bit earlier, but you can also apply a little bit later. I wouldn't leave it too late, because it's important that you're not rushing it. So if you then get a further extension of your leave to remain, this time the second extension, they will likely just only grant you 30 months, so that's 2.5 years, Once you've completed nearly 5 years leave to remain in the United Kingdom, then you may make an application for indefinite leave to remain, ILR. Often people, shorten it too. So indefinite leave to remain. Now, the Briton nga yung partner mo, if you marry in the UK, because once you're in the UK, you may even be able to, because you're habitually resident in the UK, then you may even be able to apply for divorce, even though you're married nga sa Pilipinas. And once you're divorced, you can marry here. If you're married to a British citizen, then when you can make an application for naturalization, maybe a bit faster, i.e. a year faster than otherwise it would be. Okay? So it's actually a very good visa to have. And more importantly, it allows you, of course, to establish a family life in the UK. I nearly forgot, so so let me just go back on the issue of the child, no? So I'm not really sure yung question nga, if the child is your child with the husband or the child with the partner. So let's briefly deal with both. Either way, you can bring them, of course, in the United, they can come to the UK. But if the child is the child of your partner, then because the child may have been born and he was already British at the time of birth, then you may find that your child can automatically get a British passport, okay, because his father at time of birth was already British. If the child was born to your previous relationship, so yung asawa mo nga, then you can still bring him into the United Kingdom, but of course as your dependent. And of course, dependent nga din ng asawa mo. Okay? No, sorry, na asawa mo, partner mo nga dito. So he would come in then as your dependent. Now, the change in the minimum income requirement means that it's the minimum income requirement is £29,000 flat. Okay? So dati, 18,600 nga, and then you kailangan yung dagdagan if there's a child, and then tataas nga if there more than one child. That's not the case anymore. £29,000 without child, no? And so ang bisang bibigay sa bata, kung yung ang ama niya nga ay yung asawa mo, is will tally with yours. So 2.5 years or 33 months nga. But he will be able to come to the UK, study in the UK if he wants, and of course if he's a bit older, may want to work part-time, may study and work part-time, so all sorts of things. And likewise nga din, he will have the possibility to later on apply nga for indefinite leave to remain, and then subsequently also for naturalization nga, okay, or registration if they're under 18. So anyway, so there's also a possibility of bringing your child in the UK, regardless of who his father is now, okay? Because that was not very clear from the question. Yeah. So good luck. I really hope that you're able to follow that route and you succeed. Can you tell me? No, I always say this, and actually, I met with one of our regulars a couple of weeks ago. Sabi, lagi mo sinasabi yun, which is so true. It's like reading a book, no, and not knowing how it ends. It's really annoying. Okay? So, do me a favor, no. Pagka nagpasok ka na, alam mo na, and hopefully you're successful. Can you let me know? Can you message me? Because I would like to see the conclusion. Anyway, I've gone on quite a lot more than actually I had planned about the topic, because it's such an interesting topic that it has everything in it. No, of course the immigration rules, but there's also the matrimonial issue. There's also the multi-jurisdictional issue, because of course it's the Philippines where there's no divorce, in the United Kingdom. And of course, there's the issue of the child. So it's a short question, but packed full of really interesting issues. So salamat po. I'm really grateful. Speaking of being grateful, we have other questions, no? So let's just crack on with those. Let me just have a look at the other questions nga. Okay, so ito. Question lang po, no? Pagka po ba na-attend na ng British citizen ceremony, automatically British citizen ka na? Uuwi po ako sa Pilipinas this coming October. May ticket na rin po ako. Again, great question, because it's so relevant. The number of people that I have that I have to advise on this issue is so many, no? So yes is the answer, nga, no? So once you have done your citizenship ceremony, at that point, you are then British. Now, that has practical and, of course, practical and legal consequences because then you're British. So ibig sabihin, in order to travel in and out of the United Kingdom, you need a British passport, no? Because your Filipino passport, that's the indefinite leave to remain that you previously had goes. Wala na. Because you're now British. You don't need it. No? So what I normally do, ang hint ko ito, tip ko ito, you have to do your citizenship ceremony nga, within a certain time. I think it's something like 3 months. I can never remember. From the date that your application was successful. As long as you were in that time scale nga, kung ako ikaw, kung pauwi ka ng October, may ticket ka nga din, then just delay the citizenship ceremony. The reason why I say that is it could be that you may not get your first British passport in time for October. Dahil mabagal nga sila ngayon eh. So as long as you're okay with the time limit, ang payo ko, book your ceremony for a few days after you're back in the UK, no? But just bear in mind nga the time limit. That will be on the letter. So that's what I normally do for my clients. So pag kami alam ko meron silang planong magbakasyon sa atin, then I say, oh, okay, I'll book the ceremony if I can, because also their calendars, sometimes you can't go beyond a certain date, but I can book it for the time that you're back in the United Kingdom. But let's not make that application now. Just taking into account the very real possibility that, in fact, you don't get your first passport, your first British passport in time. So you're on. So yes, the answer is yes, but even though October na ang plano mong magbakasyon sa atin, you can get around the problem by just simply delaying it. But bear in mind the deadline, okay? Good luck. I hope you have a good time. I think October is probably, I was gonna say mainit nga sa atin. Mainit sa lahat, no? At the moment nga, Europe is particularly concerned about the heat nga, no? And there have been fires also. Sa atin, I think October is quite good weather. Is it also December good weather sa atin, no? October may bagyo ba sa atin, no? In October. Well, lagi may bagyo sa atin, unfortunately. So, good, have a good time. Don't worry. I hope you have a great time, right? By the way, alam mo din, for if you're keeping your ILR for the moment, make sure that you have you print out. Ang payo ko, tip ko nga din, print out nga the section on your e-visa that says your status. Yeah? You need also share code, get a share code nga, but you should also print out the section nga with your photograph, no? Sabi doon, settlement visa ka. For some reason, at the airport, before they allow you to board, they're looking for those. So anyway, so do that. Don't forget, no? Now, meron pa tayong question. So sabi nito, may concern po ko regarding e-visa status ng anak ko. Instead of child-dependent, no, ang nakalagay po sa e-visa niya is points-based system. Okay. Nireport ko na po to several times sa home office and requested for correction. Pero hanggang ngayon, wala pa rin changes. Okay. Now, that's truly not unusual. Sinasabi na po ng mga nakausap ko sa home office na okay lang daw as long as valid ang e-visa. And we can generate a share code. However, we're still worried kasi baka magkaroon ng issue later, no? Dahil hindi nga tugma ang e-visa information sa BRP and sa actual decision letter. You mean the e-visa, no? There's no BRP anymore. Can this mismatch cause problems when traveling or returning to the UK? And what should we do to have the record corrected before traveling? Again, great question. It's not uncommon, for the home office e-visa, status nga to be incorrect. It happens. In the past, meron kayong card nga da, no? In the past, that also was sometimes subject to errors nga, no? when I come across nito kung ganitong sitwasyon, so unang-una nga, don't necessarily assume that the what's there is incorrect, no? Or rather that the information it's based on is incorrect. So the visa status really on the e-visa should it's probably unlikely it would say child dependent, no? Because the child dependent may also mean say because it's a spouse application, no, or parent under the child root nga, no. So what it normally would say is PBS dash dependent, no. At least that's my experience with the e-visas. So that's usually used for dependent partners, children nga, where the main applicant holds a visa under the points-based system, as a skilled worker. So that it says points-based, sabi mo diyan, points-based system, it's probably incomplete, maybe even incorrect, but it normally it should have said PBS dependent nga. Clearly, it doesn't say that. Nandun nga lang points-based system, no? Now, tama ka to make contact with the Home Office to try and correct the error. Now, hindi ko nga lang alam if you're contacting the right, if you have the right address nga, no, for the Home Office. So so to correct e-visas, you can report your error. Let me just read this. You report an error with your e-visa under the .gov UK link nga, no. I have the link. And unfortunately, I often need to use it for my clients nga. So kung gusto mong padala ko yung link, just email me and I'll send you nga the link. Otherwise, just go on the Home Office website and say report error, and it should come up. No? But otherwise, just send it to me. Now, I'll give you a tip, no? And it's this. This is what I do also for my clients. Where I think may mali, you can ask for a copy of your file, your Home Office file. It's a subject access request, essentially. There's an online form you need to complete. You need to provide also a scanned copy of your passport, probably also a passport of your child nga. You're entitled to it because it's for your child nga. So there, papadalhin na sa'yo yung data nila from their computerized data. From there, you can then see that your child was granted, probably, no, the right visa. You can also see if your child was granted the wrong visa. The reason why it's important nga ito is kung may problema, so unang-una malalaman mo may problema ba? Yung basis ba mismo ay mali o mali lang ba yung nakalagay doon, no? Because that also sometimes hindi magkatugma yung nakalagay and actually what was the grant. So, kung alis tama nga yung grant, at except that he's your dependent nga and you're he's dependent of a skilled worker under the points-based system, then yung makikita mo doon. And when you're traveling, if you're really nervous about it, no, you can even have a section, no, take a photo of the section. So makikita nga nila if they say, well, mali ito, no, you can say, well, yeah, but we've raised with the Home Office, hindi pa rin, but my son's or child's data protection file said this. You can see it, no? So makikita mo doon. But more importantly, you can then establish from the beginning, from now, no, whether or not the basis of the mistake showing on the e-visa is wrong, because if it's not, then it's probably less of a concern. So clearly, they should have said PBS dependent. Ang nilagay nga lang na points-based system, which generally, I suppose, would not be incorrect because the grant of your child's leave to remain is points-based system, under points-based system, albeit dependent mo. Good luck, huh? Actually, again, let me know what happens. I would just also say that the Home Office under this subject access request will normally have 40 working days, no, to provide you with the data. My experience is at the moment they don't use the 40 working days. Normally, I get the SAR request after about 2 weeks. No? But yeah, so it's on the Home Office website nga mismo. Good luck. Let me know, ha? Let me know what happens. Now, so sa next question po. Hello po. We're planning to visit Scotland. Oh, wow. Lucky you, no? Scotland's beautiful. Whilst I'm holding an ILR, indefinite leave to remain, no? Visa. Do I need to apply for visa to go to Scotland? No. Because Scotland follows the United Kingdom's immigration rules. So ILR mo, okay po sa Scotland. Have a good time. I'll be going now. Scotland can be quite cold if you're going towards the end of the year. But I suspect it's probably very nice now, the weather. So have a good time, no? Have a good time. Now, I think meron pa tayong question, but let me just have a look. I think it was a kind of pahabol question. So ito, ito. Good morning po, Tony. Sabi niya, pa-help lang po ako. Paano po makapasok dito to the UK, in the UK, no? Kung cross-country po. Nagbabakasali lang po ako, baka may way, salamat po, sabi niya, no? I'm not really, hindi ko alam maintindihan ang ibig sabihin cross-country. But just generally, yeah, there are various routes to the UK, no? And that would be visit visa, if you only wanted to visit, of course, work. If you have a sponsor with a sponsorship license, so you get issued a cost certificate of sponsorship nga. Family, of course, kung meron kang pamilya nga dito, by that I mean really spouse, no, unmarried spouse, no, mga anak mo nga dito. So it depends very much on your purpose of entry, no. So I'm not really sure what you mean by cross country, but yeah, there are different routes. But rather than looking at it that as a starting point, no, what are the routes? Ang payo ko oftentimes, I say to people, establish first ano bang dahilan? What's the purpose of entering the UK? And from that, then you look at, okay, what routes are available? Good luck. I hope you're able to holiday nga in the UK. Now, gosh, ang bilis-bilis ng panahon. But we must not forget the people saying hello. Batian section nga natin. Ang init, ano? Batian section. So hopefully, Miss Kibaner, Mariam Galicia, oh, I like this. I like this photo. Ang sabi niya, Velo? Sabi niya, hello po, Tony Lira, sabi niya. At sa lahat, happy Thursday. Miss Paner, happy Thursday po. Miss Paner and I have been together since what? COVID days, no? Yeah, she's a long time friend to our show. So salamat, Miss Paner. Nice to hear from you. I hope you're on holiday, no? Miss Morales. I love this picture. Lynn Morales. I gave her our details. Ngayon nga lang. So, hello po, Attorney Lira. Sabi niya, hello. Sabi ko nga sa kanya, no, please do tune in. And she's very kindly tuned in with a gorgeous photo. I love this dress. What a beautiful dress. No? Wow. David Calixto II, our friend from Pinas. Good evening, Attorney Lira. Sabi niya, walang tigil ng ulan at baha dito dahil sa habagat. Not the best time to visit Pinas. Talaga? Actually, someone was saying to me nga, no, that may bagyo, laging umuulan. It's so before ang init-init, tapos ngayon laging umuulan. We don't really get a break, no, sa Pinas. Oh, sabi niya, sabi niya, kamusta po, Attorney, si Watson? This just shows the commitment nga, no, Ms. Paner has had to keeping up with our show nga. Because in the beginning, years ago now, 5 years or 6 years ago now, no, Ms. Paner, I would sometimes post photos of yung aso ko, my dog called Dr. Watson. Dr. Watson is a, shall we say, round, no? He's by far skinny, not skinny rather. He's a quite a rotund Labrador. So there's Watson pretending to be a rug. Okay. aso ko. Now, actually, he's now, over 12 years old na, no? So he's getting on a bit, like me. And he's suffering in the heat, like me. A guy, the great guy from London, another committed friend and viewer. Happy Thursday to Attorney Lira and to viewers. We're here in Reykjavik, in Iceland. Wow, what's the weather like there? I'm ambassador of Tap Tap Send, a remittance app of sending money to Pinas. Use A Guy the Guy, as a bonus code of £15 for first-time users. We just came back to the hotel while listening to your lovely voice. Looking forward to lots of learning again. A Guy, the great guy. I know he doesn't put the great guy. He's far too modest for that, but he is a great guy. Oh no, £15. You should do that. Have a great time. Kailan kayo babalik? I hope the weather is not too. I was going to say not too bad. I hope the weather is not so hot. Ano yan? Lechumi Rajel Subraimanyam, sabi niya, I'm planning to bring my partner here. We're married, funds are ready as well, but I recently changed jobs due to redundancy in the company. Is that a red flag? Oh, not necessarily. No, not necessarily. If you look at Appendix FM again, under the income requirement, what you could do is you can add nga, potentially the income you had before and the income that you have now. Okay, so yeah, no, not necessarily. You just need to explain yung nga nangyari. And if the gap is not so big, you find that there's no, they may not consider it necessarily a gap. No, do it. Hindi po yun red flag. I do like your dress. People are so beautifully dressed nga in the photos now. Puts me to shame, truly. Ange Cordero, sabi niya, attorney, do you have email address for the home office where to follow up for partner visa? Thank you po. Follow up. I don't. So I can send you the link if you want to make an application nga under the partner route. Sure. Just I'll try and get your email address and I can send you the link. If you're looking simply to chase, that's a bit more difficult because there to chase now you have to, it's effectively like a complaint and then they issue it. But I'll send you the link, I'll send you the link. I'll try and remember. Miss Jones, Marilyn Jones. She's lovely. She's lovely. And all her sisters nga. Another hot Thursday evening, Attorney Lira. And all viewers, let us enjoy an evening of lots of learning from our lovely solicitor. She's always so kind, Miss Jones. I saw her recently, Miss Jones. It's Miss Jones, yung kapatid niya. I won't give her name just in case she doesn't really want me to say her name now. No, a broadcaster name. But they do not age. Hindi ako nagbobola. It's a bit weird, I see them every so often, but sila, sabi ko nga last time nang nakita nga kami, they don't age. It's weird. You have to start aging, madam. Miss Diesta, Lorna Diesta, we love Miss Diesta. I'm walking home this evening as I listen. Buses on diversion. Miss Diesta, truly, I mean, that is commitment nga, talaga. She's so you probably have your AirPod ba? Buses on diversion. Hopefully you're able to get your bus. Tsaka mainit pa rin ba? Mainit pa rin sa labas, Ange ko there, sabi niya, thank you po, attorney. Yeah. No problem. I'll try and get your email nga and I'll send you nga the link. And for the yung viewer nga natin who wanted also to correct na yung maling, well, she thinks maybe maling note dun sa e-visa nga. If you send me your details, I'll also send you the link, Max Alvarez, hello Lira, kamusta ka? I'm okay. How are you? I love this photo. Oh, Miss Risa Nadella. We love Miss Nadella. Hello, attorney, sabi niya. Miss Nadella, I have known each other, madam, more than 10 years, easily. More than 10 years, And she's truly one of the hardest working people I know. And she's always happy. No, those of you nakilala niyo si Miss Nadella, always happy. It's a joy to see her. Even if you're maybe having a bad day, and then you see Miss Nadella, she's 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 just such a happy person. It's kind of it's infectious, no? So you're the best attorney, sabi niya, no? So proud of you. The feeling is mutual, madam. The feeling is mutual. She's been through. She's doing so well, Miss Nadella. Miss Maytig Vargas, sabi niya, hello and good evening, Attorney Lira, and all your followers. Happy hot Thursday po sa lahat, watching from Exeter, Devon. Now, I tell you what, I'm always jealous of Miss Vargas whenever she messages with weather like this, because there's nothing, the best place with this kind of weather is actually Devon, no? Would you agree? No. Miss Jones, same to you, sabi niya, attorney. Hindi ka matanda, always looking young and beautiful. So kind, you're so kind. But truly, hindi ako nagbobola. For those of you who know me, and I hope a lot of you know me nga, no? I don't really do bola, no? It really is weird, Miss Jones. It's crossed the line now. It's crossed the line. You gotta start aging, no? Otherwise, people begin to think that there's witchcraft there. Guy, the great guy from London. Attorney Lira, it's 15 degrees talaga in Reykjavik, Iceland. We just had a tour to see the puffin birds on a secluded island. Oh, how wonderful. Send us some photos, guy. No? Oh, how beautiful. I hope you're there for a few more days. No, enjoy it. Enjoy, sir. Miss Geeling, speaking of people who are working hard, no? MM Geeling, hello, good evening, ma'am. Happy Thursday po. Miss Geeling is another, and all her family, actually, truly hardworking. And this dress, I was fortunate enough to meet with Geeling. Pinakita niya sa akin, no? A bit close, the bigger version of this dress nga. Gorgeous woman, really. It's beautiful. She's beautifully dressed nga nito. It's like one of those goddess dresses, no? It's great. Oh, we love Edgar Duway, no? My partner in crime. Magandang gabi, sabi niya po sa inyong lahat. And maligayang dagdag kaalaman day. We love Edgar. Kamusta si Irene? Edgar, it's I'm gonna try and find the photo that you and I have had a few years ago. Pakilinaw nga lang po, sabi niya, totoo bang ang pagkakaroon ng driving conviction ay magkakaapekto pag mag-apply ng citizenship o ILR? Kasi meron akong kababayan na lumagpas na ang ng isang taon dito sa UK and still using international driving license. Pag nahuli siya ng police, sabi ko sa kanya, makakaapektuhan ang kanyang application, true or false? Tama ka, Edgar. Any kind of convictions, even road traffic nga, may affect nga indefinite leave to remain because it goes to character or indeed naturalization. Kung may problema kayong ganoon, do not disclose it, no? You need to disclose it because if you don't disclose it, yung problemang yun, then they may say that you use deception. So, pero tama ka. You are right to advise them not to do that. Not least because, insurance nga din, no? Diba? So, no, you're absolutely right, Edgar. Absolutely right. I like that photo of Edgar, no? Opo, mag 6 years na po tayo. Attorney, sabi niya, really, talaga, it is astonishing to me how fast the time has gone, no? Dahil I remember, di ba, when we were talking about COVID, no? When you enter the UK and when you have to stay in those hotels, di ba? Miss Paner, talaga, it's astonishing how time has flown. Grabing init dito, sabi niya. In Derby, it's 29 degrees at the moment. Please keep cold water at all times and drink it. he knows what he's saying, no, Edgar. He is a wise man nga, no. Now, no, absolutely, tama ka. And for those of you nga who are lazy in drinking water like me, don't importante po, you must drink water. You need to stay hydrated nga. Absolutely. No? Good for you, hydration. Now, gosh, I've gone overtime. No? Good job we didn't take a break. Ang dami natin pinag-usapan nga. Just really leads me to say salamat po for joining me, for watching, for continuing to do so. For 6 years with some of you. So it's always a pleasure po. And salamat po to the Facebook groups nga who kindly allow us to post our contents on their pages. Again, salamat po. It's a good way of sharing, no, our contents nga. Kung meron ka mga kaibigan, mga kamag-anak nga, do you think maybe interested, even it doesn't have to be na kailangan nga nila, but maybe they're interested, maybe they may not be interested, but someone else is, share our content. Libre naman. So just share it. And we have also, of course, other contents on our Facebook nga, because others may be more interesting than others. Now, next week, I don't usually do this, but next week, ang topic po natin is 20-year application under the 20-year route. No, partly because I have quite a few clients, strangely, who have exactly that issue. Normally, I don't get many because it's 20 years. So it's a great topic to discuss. Actually, it's one that I'm always interested in. So 20 years in the United Kingdom, wala kayong visa, meron bang pag-asa? No, yung topic po natin next week, but of course we're gonna post that, no. And for those of you who put in your questions, kung meron kayong follow-up questions, again, email me. But I'll try and if you email me for links nga, I'll try and do that. I may not be able to do that tomorrow, but I'll certainly try. And if I forget, habulin niyo ako. Remind me. Now, it just leaves me really to say again, thank you po. Thank you for continuing to keep me company on your usual Thursday get together. I hope you'll be able to keep me company again next week, same time, same place at Lira and Low. Good night.